What's up, guys? My name is James Blissett, professional gambler and founder of Lucrative MMA, which is my handicapping service where I help people make money from betting on MMA. And in this video, I'm going to speak to you about the upcoming UFC main event, which is Angela Hill versus Mackenzie Dern in a 5-rounder. This fight was originally scheduled to be a 3-rounder. About a week or two ago, it got rescheduled to the main event of this card. So it changes from 3 rounds to 5 rounds, which actually I think benefits one fighter specifically, and we'll get into that. Like always, I'll break down the entire fight stylistically and from a betting perspective. We'll have a look at the lines at the end of the video and see if we can get any value on any of the betting lines, and I'll speak about them throughout the video as well. I do this video every single week on my YouTube channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now and you can expect weekly videos like this where I break down the main event. Last time we did Jazina Rosenstruik versus Jalton Almeida, and my prediction was Jalton is going to get a finish inside 1 round. It wasn't a massively hot take. That was actually favored on the bookies, but it happened. Jalton finished him in the first round, a couple of minutes in, he got a submission, so wasn't surprised by that there. Hopefully my prediction is as spot on as it was last week, and I'm going to give it to you all for free and hopefully help you make some money this weekend. If you haven't signed up to my service yet, then I'm not sure what you're doing. We've won an insane amount of money this year, and we've won an insane amount of money over the last 5 years. All of my betting results are third-party tracked on betmma.tips, so I cannot fake my record. So if you want to earn a second income, go to lucrativemmabetting.com and you can watch my videos on there, my free videos, and you can sign up for a package if you actually want to start earning some real money. But without further ado, we'll get into the video we're doing today. So I'll speak about Mackenzie Dern first, right? She's a great fighter, a grappler by trade. She came into the UFC as one of the most decorated grapplers in history, in women's grappling history, and she just so happened to turn into an MMA fighter and come over to the MMA scene, right? And when she first came into the fight game, you could tell that she didn't really have much else other than grappling. She had great jiu-jitsu, subbed a lot of girls, but she had no wrestling and she didn't really have any striking. She definitely had heart, she had a chin, she had balls, tenacity, aggression, that sort of stuff. But in terms of a skill set, not the intangibles, really she only had grappling. And I will say that over the years she's been in the UFC, she's definitely got better. She's definitely better on the feet than she ever was. She's definitely a better wrestler than she ever was. I'd still say she's below average in both of those disciplines. She's a below average wrestler and she's a below average striker. But she was terrible at those disciplines when she first came in, considering the level of opponents that she's been facing for the last few years. She was a very bad striker and a bad wrestler. So those marginal improvements that she's made to round out her MMA game have really helped her, because now she's having close fights with girls like Yan Xiaonan. One judge scored that fight a draw, and obviously I actually scored that fight a draw myself as well. And obviously Yan Xiaonan just knocked out Jessica Andrade. She's on the cusp of a title shot. Actually, I think she is getting the title shot next time out, so I'm not sure if they confirmed that or not. I can't remember, but I mean, she went to a draw with her. It wasn't a draw. It was actually a majority decision loss, but in my opinion, it was a draw. And even in the Marina Rodriguez fight, she definitely lost that fight handedly. But that's Marina Rodriguez. That's another title contender. If she didn't just lose against Virna Jandiroba, she probably would be in contention for the title. And speaking of Virna Jandiroba, Mackenzie Dern fought her, and she beat her. And she could be next for a title shot. So, I mean, Mackenzie Dern is fighting the best of the best of the best, and she's winning against the best of the best, Virna Jandiroba, and she's also losing, all right? She's not winning all the fights, but even in the fights that she loses, she's doing well, like for the most part. It doesn't look good because her striking is very bad, her wrestling is bad, but if you judge the fight as a whole, Mackenzie always has her moments in every single fight. She's never been completely dominated. Even in that Marina fight, she almost finished her. I think it was in the 2nd round. So she's a very good fighter, and she's a force to be reckoned with. She gets clowned a lot because of how bad her disciplines other than jiu-jitsu is, but if you actually break it down and be honest, she's a very, very good fighter and probably the most dangerous fighter in her division, I would say. Pound for pound, I would say she's the most dangerous fighter. And on the other hand, we've got Angela Hill. Now, she's completely different because Angela Hill's been around the game for years. She's been in the UFC for almost like 10 years. I don't know exactly when she came in, but let's have a look at her record now. So her first fight in the UFC was straight from Invicta, was a fight against Jessica Andrade in 2017, right? So, actually, no, it wasn't. It was before that. it was before that. She went back from UFC. She got cut from UFC, went to Invicta, came back to UFC. Yeah, because I remember she fought Tisha Torres. She got beat by the grappling there. So her first ever fight under the UFC banner was on the Ultimate Fighter. She lost against Carla Esparza via rear naked choke, which isn't a good look for this fight. But that was in 2014. So like I said, about 10 years ago, man. We're talking 9 years ago. She made her debut in the UFC, under the UFC banner at least. This is 9 years later. Mackenzie Dern's a bit of a newer girl. She's only been in the UFC for half that. Not even half the decade, where Angela Hill's pushing on 10 years. So she's a completely different fighter in that sense. And also in her fighting style, she's a completely different fighter. She's a striker mainly, right? She will throw takedowns in every now and then, but she's usually the one defending takedowns. She's a Muay Thai striker. She comes from a Muay Thai background, and you can see that with the way she fights. She doesn't use a massive amount of movement. It's funny because she will bounce in and out of range, so she does use movement at times, and she actually does have good footwork. But when she throws and when she's using her offense, oftentimes she does just stand. She just stands and kind of plants her foot like a lot of Muay Thai fighters do, and kind of just throws strikes, as opposed to certain other fighters where they might bounce around the octagon. Even when they're throwing strikes, they go in and out of range. Angie's not really that type of girl. She will bounce in and out though, so she can mix both. She can mix both. She can fight on the back foot. She can fight on the front foot. She does use footwork every now and then, but for the most part, she's a bit more of a stationary fighter than some of these other girls, But to be honest, and I'm not going to edit this out. It's a raw video, so I want to be very clear on my point. She actually has good footwork, just breaking her footwork down. It actually is very good, because I went back and watched multiple of her fights as I was tape studying for this upcoming fight, and that's one thing I was looking at. I was looking at her footwork, because at the end of the day, if you've got bad footwork, or if your footwork is not utilized that often, then it's going to be very hard to beat Mackenzie Dern, because you're going to be right in front of her the whole time and you're going to get taken down. And going back and watching Angela Hill's footwork, it's actually very good. It is good. She does move and bounce a lot. It's just that when she throws, oftentimes she can get caught in the pocket. She likes to swing down, and she likes a bit of a war. So what I'm trying to say is that if she does get into a swinging contest at times with Mackenzie Dern, she's going to be able to be caught off guard by Mackenzie Dern's grappling attempts, right? So that's something that I noticed on tape, that although she moves a lot, when she throws, oftentimes she can kind of get stuck in the mud, and that may lead her to being taken down, We'll see, but that was something I noticed on tape, But like I said, she's a striker, good Muay Thai striker. She'll throw a lot of volume out there. I think in her last fight, she fought Emily Ducote, and she landed about 180 strikes to Emily's 70 or 80, So the girl throws out a lot of volume. That was in a 3-round fight, right? To land 180 strikes or something, it's an elite number of strikes to land, She was just teeing off leg kicks. She'll go body, head, leg. She'll shoot at all 3 levels. And she's just a very high volume, good striker, man. She's just a good striker for the division. She's above average striker for the division. And she's going to be in a good chance of winning this fight, It's a good fight. If you look at the odds right now, Angela Hill's about plus 150, plus 160 underdog. Not sure I agree with that personally, but basically how I see this fight playing down or breaking down is like any Mackenzie Dern fight ever. And what I mean by that is Mackenzie Dern, if she gets you on the ground, she's going to dominate. She might even finish. If she doesn't get you on the ground, she's going to lose. She probably won't get finished. She's got a great chin, but she's going to lose, right? And that's the exact same in this fight. There's no different. This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup. This is Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres part 2. This is Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez part 3. This is Mackenzie Dern versus Yan Xiaonan part 4. It's a very same archetype of fighter that Mackenzie Dern has been fighting, and that is basically a pure striker. We can call Yan Xiaonan and Marina Rodriguez pure strikers for the most part. And she lost both those fights. When she came up against someone who plays in the grappling a little bit more, Tisha Torres, she ended up winning that fight. Although I scored that for Torres, but I did have a bet on her, so of course I would. But basically, I see Mackenzie Dern shooting takedowns in this fight. I see her going into the clinch, trying to get her down on the floor. it's hard for me to predict if she's going to do it. Since this fight is 5 rounds, now I do believe that she probably will be able to get her down to the ground, at least once or twice. We're talking about 5 rounds here. That's 25 minutes for Mackenzie Dern to make one action happen. And let me tell you something. If she makes one action happen, if she pulls guard, if she rolls for a knee bar, anything, then Angela Hill's going to be in trouble, I've seen Angela Hill taken down multiple times by Virna Jandiroba, and some of those takedowns came off unorthodox positions. One time, she just about pulled guard. Another time in the first round, she rolled for a leg lock and was able to get Angela in a knee bar, then reversed that knee bar to get top position. Angela actually re-reversed her as well, but just the fact that some of the takedowns that Angela Hill found herself caught in the Virna Jandiroba fight were unorthodox takedowns. They were guard pulls. They were rolling leg locks. And that's exactly what Mackenzie Dern will do, because I don't think Mackenzie Dern is going to have great success with the traditional takedowns against Angela Hill. Angela Hill, I would say, has above average takedown defense. When she first came into the UFC, she actually had below average takedown defense. That's how she would lose fights. She would get taken down. But nowadays, since she got taken down multiple times in her UFC career, consistently her takedown defense has improved, right? So I do think that Mackenzie Dern's going to struggle to get Angela Hill down. Like I said, Mackenzie Dern, below average wrestler, and Angela Hill, above average takedown defense. So, you just put those things up against each other. Who's going to win? It's going to be the above average takedown defense of Angela Hill, right? So, I do think she's going to be able to defend takedowns quite cleanly. I think she's going to be able to circle off the cage and start to land her own shots. And if the fight is on the feet, I do think it's going to be a one-sided fight. I think Angela Hill's going to dominate. But I still do see Mackenzie Dern getting the fight down at times. Like I said, if you go back to that Virna Jandiroba fight, some of the takedowns that Mackenzie Dern will employ, they worked on Angela Hill. And Angela Hill played in the grappling way too much for my liking there. At one point she reversed, still stayed in the grappling. And even if she reverses Mackenzie Dern, like she reversed Virna Jandiroba, that's a great look, right? Virna Jandiroba is a very, very good grappler, but she's not as good as Mackenzie Dern in my opinion. And I don't think Angela Hill is going to be able to reverse Mackenzie Dern like she was able to reverse Virna Jandiroba. If the fight does get to the ground, I think Mackenzie Dern is going to dominate. She could even get a 10-8. She could even get a finish. So it's just going to be a very worrying time anytime the fight goes to the ground. Like in Mackenzie Dern's last fight, she was dominating anytime she got to the ground. But she was being dominated anytime the fight was on the feet. And she pulled guard in that fight. She pulled guard and butt scooted the length of the cage just to try and get the fight to the ground, just to force grappling initiations. So, just to force those transitions. So she's going to do it here. She sells out for the takedown. She does anything she can to get the fight to the ground. And I do see the fight going to the ground a couple of times. It just comes down to whether Angela Hill will be able to survive on the ground. I do think it's possible. I also think that she could get subbed. If we go back and look at her record, Mackenzie Dern hasn't got a sub in many, many fights. She's kind of due one now. If you go back and look at her fight against Marina Rodriguez, very close to finishing that fight on the ground when it got there. If you go back and look at her fight against Yan Xiaonan, very close to finishing that fight against Yan Xiaonan. She had her in a fully locked-in arm triangle choke. And, you don't see too many arm triangle choke submissions in women's MMA. A lot of times you need a very, very strong squeeze to finish that choke. And in women's MMA, their strength isn't as much, their muscle mass. So their squeeze isn't as potent. And we saw that in the Mackenzie Dern Yan Xiaonan fight. She had a fully locked-in arm triangle. She couldn't finish her with that. She had an arm bar at one point, but then the round ended, so she couldn't finish her arm bar. She was 10-8 in her in the 5th round, ground and pounding her. She had the rear naked at one point almost. So I know Mackenzie Dern hasn't got a finish, but she's got close multiple times against really good fighters. So you could say she's due one. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes out there and gets a submission over Angela Hill, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Angela Hill survives once or twice and then outpoints her in the other rounds. I don't think Mackenzie Dern's going to get a takedown every round here, but she doesn't need to get a takedown every round to win the fight. She only needs to get a takedown 3 out of 5 rounds to win the fight. And I definitely think it's possible she gets that. But I'm actually going to go the other way on this one. I guess I'm being impacted by the line a little bit, because I always look at the line. But Angela Hill at plus 160, I don't really agree with. I guess the 3-round to 5-round nature makes me more inclined to say Mackenzie Dern should be a slight favourite. But honestly, for me, I'm capping this fight 50-50. I'm saying this is a 50-50 fight. It could definitely be a rerun of the Rodriguez-Dern fight. It definitely could be that. But it also could be the rerun of the Dern-Tisha Torres fight, where it's close, but she just edges it because she got her back in one of the rounds or something like that, you know. So I'm expecting a very close fight if Mackenzie Dern doesn't get the finish. I do not see Angela Hill getting the finish, but at the end of the day, no one's chin lasts forever. We did see Mackenzie Dern cracked and wobbled badly in her last fight against Yan Xiaonan. So it is possible, but I don't really see much finishing upside on the side of Angela Hill unless she cuts her with her elbow. I do think that's possible. She throws a lot of elbows. Yeah, but I'm gonna side with Angela Hill. I'm gonna say Angela Hill gets it done via decision. But like I said, it's about a 50-50 fight, so it's very hard for me to give an outright prediction. But when you look at me saying it's a 50-50 fight compared to the line, Angela Hill plus 160, it's very easy for me to make a prediction on this fight, right? I'm predicting Angela Hill to get the win. I don't know if I'm going to bet it yet. Yes, I believe I have an edge on a plus 160 line, but you don't always bet where you think there's edges. You know, it depends on your confidence of the read in that edge, plus a lot of outside factors going into the fight. So I'm not guaranteed for me to bet this selection. You know, bet Angela Hill here. I may be looking at Angela Hill via decision. I may hedge it with Mackenzie Dern via submission. You know, there's many things you can do here, but you could get burnt doing that because, as I said, if Mackenzie Dern gets a takedown in 3 rounds, then she could easily win a decision, and then you've played the submission and you're burnt. So you do have to be a little bit wary because I know a lot of people are going to be saying, you know, just bet Angela Hill at plus money, but then also bet Dern submission at plus money, and you're fine. But it's not always the way it works out. We saw in that Tisha Torres-Dern fight that Dern won a decision there, and she's won decisions before, you know, against Virna Jandiroba and stuff. So it's not at the realm of possibility she does that here, especially when you factor in that she may get 10-8 in one of the rounds or even a couple of the rounds here. So a little bit risky, but I am thinking that Angela Hill via decision could be a decent play, and it could be a play that I end up on. I'm not 100% yet. I haven't really looked at the lines too deep. I'm waiting for the decision prop to be released on multiple bookies, and then I'll make my decision. But that's it. Angela Hill via decision will be my official prediction. But yeah, like I said, 50-50 fight, and anything can happen in this one. But it's going to be a good one. I hope that analysis helps you break down this fight a little bit. I hope the analysis helps you make a bet on this fight a little bit. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. As I said, if you want to sign up and get all of my official picks and predictions, and if you want to get all of my thoughts on every single fight that we have, even fights that I don't have a bet on, then you can sign up. You can go to my website right now, lucrativemmabetting.com, and sign up for the Elite service. You get an insane plethora of content if you sign up for the Elite service. You get the best long shot prop bets for the weekend. Last weekend, I gave out Alex Morono via submission, plus 600. And I also gave out another long shot prop bet, Fabian Edwards via decision, plus 600 as well. Those were in the long odds prop bet section in the Elite Zone. I also give out the best parlay pieces. I also give out degenerate parlays and full card breakdowns for every single fight on every major organization, UFC, PFL, Bellator. So there's a lot of stuff you get on my website. And if you just want my official picks and predictions, well then you can just get that. You get the bets only, and it's much cheaper, and you're still going to cash with us because you still get the official bet. So it's up to you. But yeah, hopefully you have enjoyed the content. I'll be back in a few days with another video. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.